we'll just give people the opportunity to get in from the waiting room. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. It's great to have you here again. For those of you that weren't here this morning, my name's Scott Parkin. I'm the Chief Executive of the Institute of Employability Professionals. It's really wonderful to welcome you here to our second session of the day. Can I remind you that if you've joined this session through Zoom, you are naughty. No, I'm only kidding. But it is much better the experience if you join through the Hoover app. I'm not suggesting you leave now and come back in unless you really want to, but being able to do stuff on the Hoover means you can chat, you can engage, you can do lots and lots of really interesting stuff. If there's polls, you can get involved in those polls and everything. As I said, this is the second session of our day today. The first with Beth Curtis, and we learned how recruitment onboarding is happening in a digital world. It was really interesting. And what I'm really excited about this session with my friend and colleague Jane Garner from Ingeus is that we're going to be learning about the other side of things. So, you know, how practitioners and how digital technology are helping support the participant journey and enabling job seekers to move into employment. So by almost both sides of the same coin, which is absolutely wonderful. Can I remind you to make sure that you utilize the chat functions, utilize, as I say, polls, any Q&A. Jane will answer any question you have, I'm sure, and would be very, very happy at the end of her presentation to do that. Lots of opportunities within the Hoover app to do lots and lots of interesting stuff. So you don't want to listen to me. It's not why you're here. You're here to listen to Jane. So we have Jane Garner, Head of Integration at Ingeus, who is going to be presenting on using technology to help people progress into work. Jane's going to be discussing how we use tech to help people secure work and how that's evolved to support all stages of the journey in different circumstances. Through in-house developments and new initiatives from Tech for Good Companies, digital solutions are providing more and more ways for people to engage and progress. This session is going to explore how Ingeus have harnessed digital ways of working in their employability programs to improve outcomes and impact. So without further ado, over to you, Jane, and thank you very much.
No problem. Can you hear me okay? I hope so. I'm just going to carry on, and unless you tell me otherwise, all thumbs up. Thank you, Scott. First of all, thanks very much to Scott and all at the IEP for their support and for allowing me to join you on this session. Thanks to the conference sponsors too, and for all of you for coming along. First of all, my name's Jane. I'm the Head of Integration at Ingeus in Greater Manchester. And I'm really passionate about what we do. So I'm very passionate about the support that we can provide for people. I'm really passionate about our integrated approach in Greater Manchester. So the ways in which we work with other organisations to get the best possible outcome for the individual. Emma, do you want to flip on to the next slide for me? Thank you very much. Ingeus, for anybody that doesn't know, our mission is enabling better lives. We do that through 4 key divisions in the UK. We're an international business, but these 4 key divisions in the UK, employability, health, youth and justice. And if you go to the next one, for Greater Manchester, we focus on employability, but just in terms of some headline numbers, I suppose. This might just give you an idea of the scale of Ingeus delivery in the UK. Next one. Thank you. Greater Manchester's programmes, so we deliver the Working Well Work and Health programme, JETS, and more recently Restart, which started on the 28th of June, so brand new. And again, this is our sort of focus on employability in Greater Manchester. Just as a heads up, I'm not a tech person. I'm very much part of the operational team for Ingeus, and hopefully today what I want to do is sort of bring to life the range of different solutions that we've employed to make sure that we can help people as best we possibly can to move forwards towards work. And some of that includes some different types of technology and software and solutions that we've put into place. So our specialisms are absolutely around making sure that we can progress people towards work. All of the participants that we have on our programs are referred by Job Centre Plus, so they're people that are currently unemployed. And again, just to maybe give you an idea of the scale, so Work and Health Programme, we're expecting to support just shy of 23,000 people through the Work and Health Programme. With the extension to JETS, around about 20,000 people through JETS. And the Restart scheme in Greater Manchester is expected to support 86,000 people over the 3-year referral window. So they're really large scale programmes. And for anybody that's not from an employability world, like sometimes that's a bit of a shocker that they're that kind of scale. Some of the focus of what I want to talk about is in response to the pandemic, this horrendous period that we've all lived through, and mainly because Greater Manchester has probably been impacted by the pandemic in quite a severe way. So the latest data will tell you that there's been a 25% higher death rate in Greater Manchester than the average across England and Wales. And for some of the most deprived wards in Manchester, that increases as high as 75%. So there are some, again, wards in North Manchester, for example, that do have poor health outcomes and really challenging circumstances around health. And our main Work and Health Programme delivery, our highest caseload, is designed for people who have health conditions or are unemployed or both. So, you know, that has that real focus on people that are unemployed, potentially due to health, or their unemployment is impacting their health. Our approach is very consistent across all of the programmes that we deliver, so very much a person-centred approach, and that tailored action planning approach, the very individual support. It means that if somebody's joining programmes with very specific barriers or health conditions, that you don't ignore that and just carry on with the journey towards a job, because those health conditions aren't just going to disappear, and these might be disabilities that people would expect to live with their whole life. So it's really important that we address that and support it and make sure that all of the right tools and support are in place for the individual. Much of what we do in Greater Manchester is built on an integrated approach, and by that, you know, as I said before, this is how we work with other services to make sure that people can move through and be successful in not only being in work, but staying in work long term. And throughout the pandemic, since the 20th of March, I think we went. So on the 20th of March, we went out into remote delivery, all of our staff working from home, as I know that, you know, most employers were. But that means that the Work and Health Programme and JETS delivery has been entirely remote, and we're moving back to that face-to-face working. And now for the Work and Health Programme, much of what we do, the vast majority of what we do is face-to-face, but we really want to learn the lessons from that remote delivery and the use of tech that's enabled some really great outcomes. Okie dokie, do you want to move on to the next one, Emma? Thank you. So looking at the delivery model and where different types of technology might might hit our team, if you like, or hit the participant on the programme. So the top part of the screen talks about that initial referral into the programme, all from Job Centre Plus, but there is activity at that point to make sure that we've made contact and that we've provided that warm welcome into the programme. So programmes are of different lengths, but the central point is that key worker or advisory role that sits right in the middle. And their job fundamentally is to navigate the customer's journey over the coming period that they're with us, to make sure that they're accessing all the different types of support that they need. So for example, not everybody's going to need the support of a health professional, not everybody is going to need to have a particular referral into the community. So it's important that we really understand what's going on for the individual, and we'll do that through different diagnostics and assessments to make sure that we've got a grasp on what somebody needs and then where we can navigate the right support for them. Again, during the pandemic, this is remote, so we've got to think about the solutions for being able to provide expert employability support and connect people to what they need for their circumstances, and do all of it from home. So this is where a lot of those, the different software and solutions has come to life. It doesn't end when somebody gets a job. So if you're moving into work, that in-work support is crucial. It's not just about starting work. Our mission, again, is enabling better lives. You don't do that at the point that somebody starts work. It's throughout somebody's journey in work, being successful and being able to progress. That is a really true measure of success. So again, there's lots of things that people might find challenging when they first start work, and things that they need to make that transition easier, and for it to be something that they can manage longer term. Okie dokie. Do you want to go on to the next slide? Thanks, Emma. Fab. This might just give a bit of an idea of the kind of scale. So again, if we're just doing all of this remotely, the first thing that everybody has at their disposal is normally a phone. But we want to make sure that there's real sort of enrichment to that journey. So looking at the first year of lockdown, if we go March 2020 to March 2021, we booked more than 830,000 telephone appointments to support participants, and more than 31,000 appointments specifically with our health teams. So our health teams for the Work and Health programme include psychologists and physiotherapists, health educators and mental health professionals. So a really specialist team that can provide health support. Again, more than 15,000 people have been supported to start work, and that's that beginning part of the journey. Making sure that people sustain in work is really important. So given the scale, we need to make sure that some of the right solutions sit in place. So again, next slide for me if you can. Next one, Emma. Yay, thanks. iWorks, this is our first one. We'll come on to a video for this in just a second, but just to give a bit of an idea of to what iWorks is. iWorks is a digital platform that's supported by Ab Integro, and we've brought this into our delivery for Work and Health programme and for JETS and for Restart. There are masses of different resources in here. If you're looking for work, then great, you can look for work through iWorks, and there's a job search function in there. But there's also, I think, more than 500 now. It says 440 on the screen. I think more than 500 different resources that relate to employability. And those resources are things like quizzes and assessments, videos and e-learning and articles and industry reports. There's loads of stuff in there. There's more than 80 resources that just relate to wellbeing as well. So sort of changing the focus, and there's new additional material being added all the time. Two really crucial bits that we use all the time in this platform. Number one, there is a CV 360, which allows you to pop your CV in, and the system will score it for you based on things like keywords and spacing and layout and all that kind of stuff. So it provides a score and suggestions on way to make improvements. The interview 360 is probably one of the things that's the most fun, where you can record yourself having a video interview, and the system again will provide some feedback on use of keywords and pauses, and did you use your hands too much like me, did you make eye contact, all that kind of stuff. This has been really fantastic for us throughout lockdown. Loads of employers move straight to this video interviewing ways of working. Fantastic, and reaches lots of people. But for many of our participants on the programme, this would have been a completely alien concept and really challenging for them to do. So lots of support that's in conjunction with their key worker or advisor that's their core contact on our programme. So again, just not forgetting their advisor is the one that's navigating all of this support. Their advisor can maintain contact through iWorks and suggest some of the things that might work really well and help that person's journey towards a job. So an unbelievable addition to the way that we've worked. It means that all that stuff we would have been doing face-to-face, actually there's still that access directly in on a smartphone or on a laptop, and people are able to access that remotely. Emma, if you want to go ahead and play the video. Thank you.
Have you given your career serious thought recently? Do you know where you're heading, and are you ready for the next step? Welcome to iWorks, packed with interactive tools, e-learning content, and the latest job opportunities, all designed to help you navigate today's job market and move you forward with confidence. Use iWorks to find the support you need for your situation, whatever it is. You might want to understand your motivations, aspirations, and workplace preferences. Or perhaps you need help creating your CV or practicing for interview. If you're looking for inspiration, then use the databases and job search engine to find your perfect opportunity. Or take one of the hundreds of e-learning courses focused on developing your career and workplace skills with advice direct from expert career coaches and hiring managers. Whether you're searching for your first role or going through a career change, don't leave your next step to chance. Explore the resources and take control today. Good luck. Have you given your...
Thanks, Emma. We were on repeat then. Never mind. So yeah, look, this is a kind of introduction video that we provide for participants on the programme. Hopefully that's brought that to life a little bit. Helen and Emma, I don't know if there are any questions just around iWorks or anything in the chat I need to pick up before I move on.
Nothing in the chat yet around iWorks, but if we give people a few moments, Jane, I'm sure they will have some comments and some feedback. No problem. It does look good. I like the idea of being able to video myself doing things and get some feedback. That looks fantastic.
You know, I think the first time people do it, they're really nervous. And then once you've done it once, people can't seem to stop. And you tend to see people doing this all the time. It's also really great as a demo. So we take iWorks out into job centres as well. And we've had job centre work coaches try the interview 360. And I think that's a really great way of them understanding what's available through the programs and helping them to talk to potential participants about what we can do.
Fantastic. So we have had a question coming around iWorks now from Christine. She says, is iWorks a bespoke system created by Ingeus or is it delivered by an external software provider?
It's a great question. Hi, Christine. It's delivered by ABintegro, and we're able to influence some of the content. So for Ingeus, again, we sort of specifically work with ABintegro. We look at some of the data that's coming through about any trends, what's sort of the most viewed content, where people are sort of focusing. And again, that's sort of driven us to look at more well-being resources, particularly through the pandemic, and work with ABintegro to make sure that they're available and uploaded.
Fantastic, thank you. And we've had another question. How do you access iWorks? That was Sharon that's asked that question.
Hi, Sharon. So iWorks is available for participants that are on our schemes, on our programs. So as soon as somebody is referred into the schemes, and normally the referral comes via Job Centre Plus, then at their very first interaction with us, they're provided their log on. Even before they meet their advisor face to face, they're able to get onto iWorks, have a look around, have a look at the content, and interact with their advisor through that as well, if they choose to.
Well, I think you've just answered the next question we had, Jane, because Liz said, can the advisor interact with the person on the app?
Yeah, they can. Participants can choose to book in for sessions that are happening face to face in our centres as well. So they can see the types of workshops that are available. They can book their spaces into any of those. Their advisors can make contact and suggest content that could be interesting for them to look at. It can become like a really core part of the journey is working through some of that activity. And we see some great results from that. And Emma, if you just want to skip on to the next screen, I think we might have some of that.
Your career.
Oh, not that one. Next one.
Serious thought.
While Emma's getting us on to the next slide, we've also had another question around, is the programme easy to navigate for those who are not IT literate?
Oh yeah, very good question. Yes, it is. And we have to make sure that's a key feature, really. So I think at last count, we had more than 60% of people that join work and health programmes say that they have a skills need. So whether that is vocational skills, but we always also obviously ask about literacy and numeracy, access to IT. So we do see quite high skills needs across the programme. So it's really important that all of the platforms are very kind of plain English, that they are very simple and straightforward to navigate. For anybody that struggles with their digital literacy, we have access to computers in all of our sites as well. So you do tend to see advisors sitting side by side with a participant and showing them some things on the screen, or setting up e-learning for them to complete, and they can walk away and leave the participant to do that on their own. So there's aspects of iWorks that people can do in a supported way in all of our offices as well. Just wanted to talk about like how people use it, because I think sometimes we get lost in trying to explain what it is, but then the impact to individuals can sometimes feel like a secondary thing, and I want to make sure that that's always at the forefront of what we do. So just an example of a guy called Neil who's working with his key worker Trevor. Neil's only 22, he'd only been out of work for 3 years, got some great qualifications, but lacked work experience and had taken a real knock to his confidence. So he's dealing with some problems with his mental health. What we can see in iWorks and across Neil's journey towards a job, and Neil's in work now and doing very well, but Neil used iWorks on 22 different occasions, and we can see some of the things that we see all the things that he accessed and what that progression looked like. So he'd made improvements to his CV. That was one of the first things. He'd had a couple of interviews and wasn't successful on the first 2 interviews that he went to, but we managed to get feedback from the employer, and then looked at the content that's available through iWorks that can support him. So he went through that interview 360 approach, and we can see the night before his interview, quite late, Neil went onto iWorks and accessed great questions to ask an interviewer, and he accessed an interview preparation module as well online, and Neil was successful on that 3rd interview. So just looking at where that kind of picks up on each participant's journey and how that can make a sort of a real impact. And again, Emma, next slide if you can. Thank you so much. Just to give you an idea of the scale, really. About 29,000 CVs now have been uploaded through the CV checker, and the average score then goes up to 82% once people have made changes and that second upload of the CV. More than 700,000 different activities have now been completed in iWorks, so we're really thrilled about that. The core things absolutely that you would expect, so job search, e-learning, and then the CV 360, they're the most used activities. But in that top 5 of the e-learning titles that people go for, this was back to, was it Sharon's question before? Job hunting, workplace skills, interview prep, that's all the things that we absolutely would expect that people are getting hold of for an employability program. But resilience comes up in the top 5. Resilience is one of the top 5 e-learning titles. So this really talks to us about what people have needed during the pandemic. The fact that people are looking at that resilience information, their bounce back ability, their ability to dust themselves off and keep going, that's become something that's really important. So we've expanded a lot of that well-being, resilience, mindfulness, lots of that activity to help people to prepare while they're job searching. So good stuff. That brings us on fairly neatly when we're talking about well-being and mental health. Do you want to skip to the next slide, Anne? Thank you so much. So SilverCloud, probably just important to talk maybe about some of the people that we support on the programme. So for Work and Health programme, as I say, this is designed for people who have health conditions. Not everybody that joins the programme has a health condition, they might have other barriers. But there's a design in the delivery model to make sure that we can support people that have health conditions. Of the people that are joining the Work and Health programme, the most prevalent health conditions are mental health, and the most common there are anxiety and depression. For the people who present with physical health as their primary health concern, then problems with back and legs are the most common. But mental health by far is the most prevalent, the most common. So it's really important that we are supporting people to manage their mental health effectively. This isn't just something that exclusively, it reaches one group in particular, right? Like 1 in 4 people have problems with their mental health. You'll be working alongside somebody, and it may be you who has problems with their mental health. And we don't expect to make somebody better. You might have somebody who's dealt with depression for a number of years and expects to deal with that for in the long term. But what we want to do is to make sure that people are well educated about their health, that they understand how they can self-manage, and that people know how to manage their health condition in a work environment. Like, that's all the stuff that's really important to us. So we've got a team of health professionals, and one of the bits of technology that we've been really, really keen on and has provided some fantastic results is SilverCloud. We also use Be Mindful, great app that people can use to focus on mindfulness, and again, contains a lot of the assessments where people can self-assess and track their progress. But SilverCloud is online CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy. And again, during the pandemic, it's been really important that we've been able to reach people and provide this kind of support in this way. It's not delivered just as a standalone app. So this has real members of the team behind it. It has some of our health professionals behind it. And what that means is that as people are completing assessment, our mental health professionals are monitoring what's going on. And that's to make sure that they can say well done and encourage people and maybe suggest some of the content and modules that would help them, but also from a safety point of view, that we can pick up on any safeguarding concerns for people that are really struggling. So caseness. You'll get the video in a minute. You get the boring bit of me and then the interesting video. So caseness. Caseness is an indication of clinical need where mental health is concerned. It's based on certain scoring. For everybody that's ever accessed SilverCloud, about 91% reach that caseness score. So an indication that clinical need is required, or clinical intervention may be required or be beneficial. But during lockdown, that went up to 96%. So that's a bit of an indicator for us that either people's mental health is becoming more severe, those problems are becoming more severe, and potentially that there are more people experiencing issues with their mental health. And both of those things, from our assessment and from talking to the teams, those things are absolutely true. More people coming forward with issues around their mental health. And for the people who have mental health concerns, they were certainly seeming to get worse. So SilverCloud, again, fantastic app for our team to use, fantastic platform. Emma, do you want to play the video for that one? This might be the one we replaced. Or is it there?
Apologies, that's the built-in advert, obviously on the YouTube link.
Okay, we're not seeing anything at the moment, Emma.
Right, bear with me a second. Apologies,
I think we may need to reshare the window because it's an external link.
The anticipation, Jane. I can't wait to see this video now.
I feel like I might have built it up too much, Scott.
Well, while Emma's looking for that for us or trying to access it, we've got some comments in. So Helen has said, iWorks is fantastic. However, there are many participants who have never used computers or have no IT skills at all.
This is absolutely true. This is absolutely true.
Rebecca said, I work for Ingeus and love being able to offer iWorks to my customer. So that's fantastic. So Emma, I can see we're going to be able to see that in a moment. But before you do, I'll just share Sian's comment, who said, Helen, maybe worth looking at the Essential Digital Skills Programme for your participants, as this gives them the baseline digital skills. Fantastic. And I think Emma's ready to go for us now.
Welcome to SilverCloud, an online therapy platform designed by clinical experts to help you improve your mental health and well-being. Its programs use evidence-based methods like cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, and even positive psychology. Simply log in to access program modules. Typically, you'll see 7 to 9 modules filled with videos, quizzes, and interactive content. SilverCloud has great tools that you can use to improve your symptoms, including a journal, a mood monitor, activity scheduling, and the worry tree. Within the platform, you'll learn about basic psychological concepts through animations and illustrations, while real user stories show how these ideas can be applied to daily life. Screening tools like the PHQ-9 and GAD-7 help to track your progress. Programs can be done on your own or with the support of an assigned coach. In the coaching model, trained coaches inspire and motivate you on your journey. Through regular messaging, your coach can answer any questions, point out relevant content, and customize your journey with additional modules. Coaching happens over an 8 to 12-week period at a recommended pace of 1 module per week. A module usually takes about 40 minutes to complete. We offer convenient access across devices like smartphones, tablets, and computers, providing on-demand care anytime, anywhere.
Jane, that was fascinating. And I'd like to say that whilst I don't want to be flippant or anything, I think hosting the Digital Technology Conference, I think we all need a worry tree, basically. It's ironic, isn't it, that we need digital interactions for doing a digital thing. But anyway, there we go.
Thanks very much for getting to that, Emma. I probably made that. It was like so complicated by providing you with a different link. If you want to skip on to next slide for me. And again.
SilverCloud.
Oh, she liked Emma, you know, said that video link wouldn't work, and there it was.
Apologies, everybody. It's I'm just sharing it again from where we were.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Lovely. Thanks very much indeed. So just a bit of feedback from the health teams. And interesting that this use of technology, so contacting people remotely, either doing this by phone or over Teams and over Zoom, all of these are like different platforms. At the beginning, and again, prior to lockdown, everything was face-to-face. At the beginning, this would probably felt like a massive change, not only for our teams, but for our participants as well. We put lots and lots of different types of support in place to try and make sure that people get what they need. But some positive feedback in that remote delivery is that if you're talking to somebody from home and they're talking about their mental health, actually they're probably in an environment where they feel really comfortable. It's entirely confidential. They're not doing that in an open plan office. So all of our mental health professionals say that actually you can get to the root cause of problems quite quickly. People seem able to open up much easier. There is, for some people who are very anxious about coming to see us or really anxious about using public transport, some of those barriers are removed. So there's still that accessibility of support. It's not just SilverCloud or apps that we'll use. Our health teams have been conducting one-to-ones and triage and doing that by phone. And that regular contact has been a real positive too. So just to sort of pick out that the health teams are seeing us able to get to the root cause of issues, and the triage process has been really smooth while working remotely. And again, it's something we want to retain, and something we want to build in, is that ability to offer more frequent contact at times that suit the individual and help them to sort of progress along that journey. And next slide as well, Emma. Thank you. This one, I wanted to just, again, try and bring it back to the individual. I think when we talk about the platform and all that, I want to make sure that this sort of speaks about the individual experience on the programme. So this participant in particular was working with a mental health professional called Tracy, and participant said on one of her calls that she hadn't been up and washed and dressed for a number of days. So you think about how far away somebody may feel that work is, when actually just getting up and being able to get washed and dressed every day is the first challenge. So Tracy does, you know, all of the initial checks around, are you taking your medication? Are you doing that at the right time? Is that the right thing for you? But also then just reminds the participant about some of the things that they've already accessed through SilverCloud, and that she still has access to that platform and she can use that remotely. So in terms of setting actions, and again, if you're not from an employability world, this might be sort of news really. You might expect that the actions that we would be setting would be around the number of jobs you must apply for, or you must prepare for an interview, or you must do this, that, the other. Actually, some of these actions are, can you get up and showered and dressed, and then sit in the garden and practice a body scan, a little technique that they've learned through the SilverCloud program. And just some of that participant feedback about being grateful for being reminded of some of those coping strategies and actually how they work. And this is about making an impact to somebody's day-to-day life, not that entire journey into work, but some of those smaller steps that really make a difference. Thanks, Emma. Do you want to go on to the next one? Okay, so just to kind of finish off on the SilverCloud bit, so throughout lockdown, we could see that there were participants on the programme potentially using alcohol as an unhealthy coping mechanism at the height of the pandemic. There are space from alcohol programmes and modules now available through SilverCloud, and some more like, you know, quite up-to-date content that provides us with a lot of different support and tools, perspective for people. So that includes things like coping with pain, or body image, that kind of stuff. So quite new modules that are available through SilverCloud all the time, and we're continuing to add that modules for participants to use. And some of the other things that we've done around digital investment, so online learning and virtual classrooms. All of our workshops before were face-to-face, and taking that into a virtual classroom environment and still encouraging that peer learning and peer support. We'll come on to Elemental in a second. It's the next bit I want to talk to you about, but webinars increased. Now, it might just seem really normal. We've all been, you know, working remotely for quite a long time now. So now this probably feels second nature to log into a webinar. We have a requirement to engage with other services and employers through the programs. And prior to the pandemic, that would have been face-to-face. Well, all throughout the pandemic, that increase in webinars has just meant that we can maintain that contact, particularly with employers, and promoting things like the Disability Confidence Scheme and the Good Employment Charter are social value commitments that we've made as a programme to make sure that we're promoting good work. We'll come on to we'll come on to Elemental, I think is the next one. But before we move on, Helen, Emma, Scott, any questions, anything I need to pick up before we move on?
We do have some questions and some comments in. So let's go to the chat first. We did have a question that came in the chat, and Rich said, are you referring to the gov.uk programme? So this came in a while ago.
What, for SilverCloud?
I don't know. So what we'll do is we'll say, Rich, if you could answer that and just let us know what you were referring to. And while we're waiting for that, Liz has said she totally agrees. Digital adds so much value. We work with women with children, and digital promotes inclusion. Liz also says, and using digital helps people when they move into work. So some great points there. And we have a question, and this one, oh, sorry, you carry on.
I was just going to say, I really like that comment, because it isn't just about people starting work at the end of the journey. So people can continue to access SilverCloud when they start a job. iWorks is available for another 6 months when you move into work. So, you know, you might come across difficult circumstances in your new job, or you might struggle to build relationships with the people that you work with. And there's some great content in there that can help people to be successful in the job that they go into. And that's the key bit for us. So really love that comment. Thank you.
Excellent. Fantastic. So I have a question for you here, and I think this is from Jennifer, and I think she was referring back to iWorks, and she said, is the CV and interview feedback through AI, or is it a real person?
Oh, it's AI. As far as I know, it's AI. So yes, it is. So can be instant too.
Fantastic. It's great to get that instant feedback, isn't it? Another question. This one is from Jeanette, and she says, what is the cost for the user in terms of data usage? For instance, if someone is using the platform for about an hour, how much data might be used?
Oh, Jeanette, wow. Again, not a techie person, Jeanette. I don't know the answer, but I think I might be able to find it out. The other thing for us to consider is just making sure that all of our participants are aware that they can do that on our premises, and they can access that through a smartphone and be on Wi-Fi, or they can use the computer's insights to do so. So we don't want that to incur a cost for anybody that's on the programme if they don't have access to Wi-Fi.
Okay, so those are all the comments and questions we have at the moment.
Thank you so much. Emma, do you want to go on to the next slide? Thank you. Oh, I don't know if we skipped. Did we skip? Yeah. So just to give a bit of an idea. So this is from Work and Health Programme Delivery in Greater Manchester. Again, if you're not from an employability world, and if you're a techie person and you've joined the conference from a digital and tech point of view, then these things might be new to you. If you're an employability person, hi there. This is stuff that you'll definitely recognise. So participants will tell us that more than half of our participants will have more than one barrier, normally 3 or more barriers, things that are stopping them from progressing and moving forwards. And just some examples on the screen there that of people that join the Work and Health Programme and have a health problem. More than half of those participants say that it is their health that's preventing them from moving forwards and getting a job. Anxiety and depression are the most common. We touched on that before. More than 60% have a need around their skills. High proportions of people have issues with debt, right? So all of these things could be combined, and this could be a combination of issues that's preventing somebody from moving forwards. We don't expect to be the single solution for all of those problems. So our approach to integration in Greater Manchester is, it's encouraged by our commissioners, by a combined authority for the Working Well programmes. And that connectivity with experts in the community is a real positive for people that join the programmes. For example, we're not going to be the expert in addiction or housing. There are absolutely the right experts that we should be able to tap into to make sure that people get the support that they need. So some of that combined barriers actually causes those problems to be bigger. For example, somebody that maybe has physical health problems or poor mobility, or they're living in pain, if that can create that comorbidity of problems, that mental health problem on top, that means that it's even more challenging to move forwards. We've seen that throughout COVID, people who had existing health conditions, that big disruption to normal healthcare routines and routine appointments, that actually is having that impact, and people's health declining, and the we know work is good for you, but being out of work can increase the risk of poor health. So lots of this focus around health, but there are also lots of different other needs and barriers and things that people might find really challenging to do. So if you want to go on to the next slide. The challenge for us is making sure that in this lockdown world where, you know, we're all working from home, how do you still make sure that you've connected your participant, your individual on the programme, with the right support in the community? Bearing in mind, we all went home and lots of other services did as well. So lots of people then changed the door in to their available service and support. And we wanted to make sure that there was a way that we could do this safely, securely, a way that's up to date and isn't, you know, that challenge of having a directory and as soon as you've written it, it's out of date, that it's up to date, that when we refer somebody, the data is secure, the information's up to date, people get the support that they need. How do we connect what we're doing in the community all online? So if you go on the next slide. What we've done in Greater Manchester is partner with Elemental. Elemental provides social prescription software. So it's a streamlined way of making sure that we can connect people with support in the community. And on the kind of run up to this, the first 3 years of delivery, we were already signposting in big volumes, lots and lots of relationships in the community. So more than 1,300 different organisations that we would regularly signpost to, services that work in partnership with us. There were services that would co-locate in our offices and deliver interventions to participants, whether that was things like debt support or skills support or housing support. They would normally be sitting in our office alongside us. So we needed to make sure that we still maintained all of those relationships because the customer gets great support from it. So make sure that we can still do that and do it in a secure way. So we launched with Elemental last year. Andy Burnham very kindly provided us with some quotes at that launch. Greater Manchester very keen on that social prescribing approach, and important to note as well, we are not social prescribers and don't profess to be. We're not a social prescription service. Our aim is employability. But what we do know is that when you learn the best practice from social prescribing services, is we want to use some of the best examples there, that really holistic problem-solving approach with your customer right at the heart of that, so that you make sure that you connect them to what they need, when they need it, and in the right order. I think there's a video on the next slide, so let's see if that one works. Okay. Emma. Emma's great. I'm so glad that you didn't leave this just to me to sort those things out. I'm just conscious of the time actually, so I'm just going to move on to the next bit around wellbeing. So while we're still kind of talking about the wellbeing of the individual, making sure that people get the support that they need, we moved all of our support that was face-to-face classroom support to online virtual classrooms. And there's a little list on the screen. Again, if you're not an employability person, if you're a tech person, and you're not aware that employability providers might do some of these things, yes, we definitely do. Managing your mood, and back and neck care, and coping with pain, and all those sorts of things. So these are like really crucial workshops. This is a model of support that means that we can support with the making sure people feel really well informed, educated, know about coping strategies, how to manage their health condition, and particularly, again, managing the health condition at work. It includes a couple of quotes on the screen just from people who've been attending those workshops. Again, just want to bring it back to the individual. We don't just, you know, provide the platform and then hope for the best. This is all about what kind of feedback can we get. And actually, there are a massive range of the workshops that you can see here that we've developed through COVID and based on feedback from the individual. Really important that this is having the right impact, and that anything that we can tailor in that support, obviously we continue to do that. Emma, do you want to go on to the next slide? Employer services team. A photo of our lovely Grant that's on the screen, the director of our employer services team. So again, just that note that we probably wouldn't have used webinars prior to the pandemic. There are a massive amount of these disability confident online workshops and webinars that we've been able to host. We've delivered 7 just during the pandemic, either that we've hosted, sponsored, co-hosted, to be able to reach employers. And our employer services team are looking at different ways all the time of making sure that we can have that connectivity with employers. It's really important that our relationship with employers continues and is really strong, because we might be having very specific conversations about the cohort of customers joining our programs and the things that they would find challenging when they're moving into a new job. And that relationship with an employer is really crucial, making sure that you know, we do that in absolutely the right way. So in terms of future plans and future tech, we're really interested in some of those platforms that allow us to reach employers, reach employer networks, share information easily, make sure that people understand our offer. We've enhanced all of our websites, so some of those work with us sections that take you through to either different people or videos or content that's directly relevant for employers. But really, really, really important that we maintain those relationships. Next slide, Emma. I loved the person's comment about that's all very well and good if your person can get online. I completely agree with you. During the pandemic, so we've referred in Greater Manchester just over 600 people to digital skills courses. It was great that somebody put that mention in there, right? The different platforms, fantastic. If you can get online and you've got the kit, brilliant. Then this is the, you know, those ways of connecting with the individual. But on the screen are some of the things that we've done across the country in different areas of the UK on how we've recognized the fact that not everybody has Wi-Fi, not everybody is able to get online. Not every single one of our participants has even got a smartphone. So it's making sure that where we can connect to existing services, charities, we've been really keen to work with organisations that do reconditioned kit and laptops, and make sure that people are connected. The crucial thing for us in the pandemic has been, first, get hold of people by phone, make sure that you can talk to them, make sure that you know you've got that initial connectivity with people. But yes, there's been a massive amount of investment in providing people with laptops and tablets to be able to get access to some of this resource. Next screen, Emma. Ingeus as a business, again, we've invested in the teams and changed an enormous amount of our content, right, to be able to deliver this on, to deliver to our staff online. So this is, gosh, 2,500 different videos that are available through community online academies. I do kickboxing when I remember to do it, through one of our fitness programs at work. There is a back and neck care that people can do, that's delivered by our health teams, that goes out to everybody across the country. But all of our learning, so apprenticeships being done remotely, all of our inductions for new staff being done remotely. So this investment in how we engage with participants in the programme isn't just aimed at people on the programme, it's our teams. We probably, and speaking from personal experience, maybe somebody else will agree with this, probably feel closer to people now and closer to your teams now through delivering remotely than we ever did before. And partly because you can see in their house and you meet their family and their pets and all that kind of stuff. But actually we have created a really strong team by making sure that we are constantly in contact. Most of our teams have a daily huddle and daily calls on Teams or on Zoom. That kind of contact is crucial, but all of that formal training is also moved remote too. I'm bang on 12:30, and I think that's my final slide, Emma. Is that my last one?
I think it is, from my memory of them, Jane. Thank you for that. Before we hand you back over to Scott, I can see him primed and ready to go, but before we do, I've got a couple more comments that I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to grab you first, Jane. We had a question come in around how much of an impact will the ending of the £20 uplift to UC have on participants' mental health? And has this been factored into the engagement barriers you mentioned in the software? It might be a bit soon for that, mightn't it? Or is it?
I think it might be. I think that there's lots of ways now, and particularly work and health programme, if I just take that as an example. So work and health programme is probably where we're more likely to meet somebody that's got health conditions, mental health conditions, and all of that support has moved back to face too. So I really appreciate the question. I haven't got a solid answer for you on that.
And I think that's in the Q&A session. So so all of us who are attending can pop into the Q&A and add our comments there. So I think it'd be really interesting for people to do, and we can follow that over the coming days. Mel has said, I believe that last one was from Mel, but Mel has said there is a scheme via LVP at local job centres, Ask Work Coaches. This scheme can provide a laptop, and EE are running a scheme for job seekers which give them 6 months of free Wi-Fi. So it's a good one for everyone to know about.
We love that. Copy and paste.
Exactly. So I will then pass over to Scott now, and thank you for that, Jane.
Thank you.
Another fantastic presentation there, Jane. Thank you so much. It was really, really interesting and really engaging, because clearly we've all had to make real improvements and changes over the process of the pandemic. But I do know, because you've instilled it in me, that Ingeus were doing quite a lot of these things pre-pandemic, particularly with some of the digital activity you were instilling in your program delivery. So, it shows that, it was a real kind of trigger to make sure that we did stuff within the pandemic, but obviously people were doing some really interesting things beforehand. I'm absolutely with you in terms of being closer to people. I think leaders and everyone else in the dynamic has had to try. I think that's the thing with digital technology. You've had to engage, you've had to do it in a way that didn't feel comfortable. And then it became more comfortable. And ultimately, then you don't lose those relationships. But thank you very much, Jane, again, really, really interesting. Up next in about 15 minutes is our networking session. You can do that through the app. You can only do that through the app. So any of you naughty people who came in via Zoom have to go through the app. Do you know what else you can do through the app as well? You can enter the competitions. You can win a ticket to the IEP Summit with accommodation and train travel. You can come and speak to senior leaders across the sector. You can get access to our level 3 training program for free. That's our gift to you if you win the competition. You can also get access and membership to our level 2 program of learning for free. So everything's free. If you win the competition, it's fine. All you need to do is visit the exhibitor booths, loads of people exhibiting, loads of great sponsors and supporters here. Go and see what they've got on offer, go and see what they're doing. And please, please collect your passports, and who knows, you might win. I think there's also a photo competition. So take a picture with your dog about doing the Digital Technology Conference and post it up there. Who knows, you might win. It might be a very attractive dog. So in essence, thank you very much to all of you. I will see you in 15 minutes, and thanks again to Jane.